Good evening and welcome to the show. So on tonight's episode we're going to be reviewing L'Aventure by the House of Haramain, a clone of Creed Aventus. Now before we get into that, some of you follow me on social media may have seen that there was a little bit of a falling out between myself and my director Dave this week. Basically it was an argument over which was better, the Dihor Hom Intense original version or the reformulation. And it was a little bit public on the social media. We were discussing it back and forth. Things got a little bit heated and there was some name calling, unfortunately, and it kind of escalated. At one point Dave had resigned as director of the show, but I've managed to talk him round. We've smoothed things out, and what we've agreed a compromise. We're just going to spend a few days working apart. I'm going to shoot the footage for this one on my own, then I'm going to email it over to Dave and he's going to do the editing as usual, just so we can have a little bit of space from each other so our feelings can die down there. Hopefully by next time we'll be back to normal. So that's that out of the way. Now it's time for the intro sequence. So over to you, Dave, with if you can work your usual magic, no hard feelings, and cue titles. I personally don't know an awful lot about men's fragrances. I see a few of them on the shelves, but there's nothing that makes me interesting in the 21st century, quite frankly. So, welcome to the show. I personally don't know an awful lot about men's fragrances. I see a few of them on the shelves, but there's nothing that makes me interesting in the 21st century, quite frankly. So, welcome to the show. I personally don't know an awful lot about men's fragrances. I personally don't know an awful lot about men's fragrances. I haven't got a fucking clue. Okay, so here we go with the review of L'Aventure by Haramain. Now, my level of excitement about reviewing this one is around about on a Gina Lollobrigida out of 10. On a scale of classic film stars, Raquel Welch being a 10. Gina Lollobrigida then pretty high up there. Basically, I'm trying to sound quite excited to check this one out. So let's have a look at the packaging. Well, the box is really nice. It's got a great box. The bottle sits really nicely there. And it looks really good. We've got this silvery kind of metal stuff on the outside. And there's a little window there so you can see how much juice you've got left. How does the sprayer work? Let's find out. Pretty good. The other thing I feel I really have to mention on this one is the blurb from the company themselves about this one. Here's their description of the product. Your hard work, your pain, your dedication and attitude are all encompassed beautifully in the rugged fragrance of L'Aventure. Dependable, long-lasting and full of masculinity, L'Aventure smells just like you. Well, I hope not. The whole point is to change how I smell. Okay, so here we are with tonight's review, and the fragrance we're going to be reviewing is really interesting to me because it's basically a clone of Creed Aventus. Now, Creed Aventus is one of the most talked about fragrances in the fragrance community. It's one of the most highly rated and well loved fragrances, and Creed Aventus is one of my absolute favourite fragrances. If we lived in a utopian world, my ideal world, a world where lager flows through the mountains, a world where Whitesnake are always top of the charts, a world where the average woman's idea of an ideal relationship consists of seeing you about twice a week for 30 minutes and not asking too many questions about what you do with the rest of your time. I think Creed Aventus would be my smell and no one else would have it. So it's going to be really interesting to see how well they've managed to duplicate this scent with this extremely inexpensive fragrance. So let's check it out. So here it is. L'Aventure by Haramain. Let's see how it smells. I've been wearing it all day to work. But let's get some more top notes on there. Nice big sprayer. Great invigorating burst of citrus freshness when you spray this one. It smells really good. Yes, you get a bit of that lemon and bergamot kind of feel, and maybe a hint of the tropical fruit that will remain nameless. Yeah, it smells really nice. It smells extremely similar to Creed Aventus from memory. It makes me think, yeah, Creed Aventus. If I sprayed this and someone told me it was Creed Aventus, I don't think I'd say, hey, no way, that doesn't smell right, there's something wrong. But let's not rely on my memory. Let's actually smell Creed Aventus. So, On the right hand, let's go for a spray of Creed. Oh wow, it smells so good. Yeah, again, very invigorating, crisp, fresh opening. Citrusy, woody, very, very similar, but I don't think indistinguishable. I've got Creed Aventus on the right hand, and I've got Al Haramain L'Aventure on the left hand. So, how similar are they? Yes, they're extremely similar. They're very similar fragrances. The Creed fragrance smells a little bit sweeter and a little bit smoother. I honestly think. Al Haramain's L'Aventure still smells very good. It's got a nice crisp, citrusy kind of top note, but it is a little bit sharper in its opening. So I would say Creed does edge it out there in the opening few minutes. So we're going to let this one dry down on my hands for a little bit and come back and see how they develop. Okay, so a little bit of time's passed there, and I have to report that as time goes on, I think these two fragrances get more similar. So by the time we're about 45 minutes in, which is where I am now, I'm really having a hard time telling the difference between the two fragrances. So in my humble opinion, as somebody who doesn't have the sharpest nose in the world or the biggest collection, but in my humble opinion, these are really, really hard to tell apart after 45 minutes or so. Let's see what happens as I wear it out later, maybe this evening, and see how the dry down develops and the longevity and that kind of stuff. But you've got to say, although the opening of the Creed one is a little bit more smooth, a little bit more natural, a little bit better, after some time passes, they really become incredibly difficult to distinguish. So, great job, Al Haramain. Okay, so yeah, overall, a fantastic composition here by the House of Al Haramain. I think it doesn't do it justice just to call it a clone. I'm going to call it a replica, because to me the word replica indicates there's a little bit of artistry in this, and I really think they've done a great job. I think Creed Aventus probably just edges it overall, but it's really hard to tell, and this is a fantastic fragrance. If Creed Aventus didn't exist, I'd absolutely want to have this one in my collection just as a fragrance on its own. So really good job. I think the level of similarity with Creed Aventus, just on my first impressions, I've only had it a couple of days, but for me the level of similarity, let's put it this way, it's more similar to Aventus than Cool Water by Davidoff. Davidoff is similar to Green Irish Tweed. It's more similar. For me, Green Irish Tweed way superior to Cool Water. Other examples, Mugler Cologne is often compared to Original Vetiver by Creed. Now, I don't own an Original Vetiver, but I have sniffed it and had samples and worn it a few times. I think we're more in that kind of ballpark of similarity. The Al Haramain is roughly as similar, perhaps, to Aventus as Mugler Cologne is to Original Vetiver, or perhaps it's even on a level with the similarity between Mont Blanc Individual, which I do own, and Original Santal by Creed, which I've sniffed a few times, and they're really similar. So we're in that kind of area of similarity. In other words, it might be worth just buying the cheaper option if you decide you don't want to spend a lot of money on the Creed fragrance. They're really, really close. But if you absolutely love the Creed one and it's absolutely one of your favourite smells, yes, you might want to splash the extra money. But great job by Al Haramain. This fragrance, for most people, is going to be a blind buy. You're not going to be able to walk into a store and test it. So is it blind buy worthy? I think it definitely is. It's only £24.99 in the UK for 100ml. If you like Creed Aventus and you've sniffed it and you don't fancy splashing the cash on it for whatever reason, and I understand that it's an expensive fragrance, there's no way that you're going to be big time disappointed by this. You're going to think that it's pretty darn similar unless you are a real expert nose. I think you're going to like it. So I think for anyone who likes Creed Aventus and they've smelled it but they don't fancy buying a full bottle, this would be really, you're not going to go wrong with this. For people who already own Aventus and they're interested in fragrances, collectors like me, and as a work of art, the art of replicating another fragrance that's really good. I think it's one I'm really happy to have in my collection, and I'm really going to enjoy comparing in further wearings with the great fragrance that is Creed Aventus. So for people like us, it's also worth having. So yeah, there's lots of reasons to buy it. Remember, with blind buys, you know, if you buy one, in this case you're not spending a huge amount of money, and if it doesn't turn out to completely rock your world, you can still use it for something. Maybe you can use it as a room spray, you can spray it on your bed sheets, or perhaps even to improve the aroma of an elderly relative. Okay, so in conclusion, this is going to be my fragrance of the night. At the moment, I'm giving it a provisional mark of 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to wear it to the pub tonight. Let's get on with the application, and let's hope this one has got nuclear sillage and projection, which I think Creed Aventus has, and I hope this one has too. Here we are, I'm outside the pub, there's the pub, Lavenshaw. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Okay, so here I am, I'm in the pub, and now projection. It's about 1.5 hours since I sprayed it on. It's running pretty well. I'm getting good projection. I've got a good little scent bubble about me. I was going to meet my director Dave for a drink tonight, but he couldn't make it in the end, so I'm on my own. So basically my wingman is Lavenshaw. Okay, not much happening in Barnet tonight, but I'm getting a lot of smoky pineapple notes off myself, and I'm really liking that. So far, Haramain is really, it just feels like wearing Aventus, so I'm pretty impressed so far. No compliments yet. Bloody Philistines.